The supinated or underhand grip pull down is just a variation on the lat pull down that involves a different portion of your back musculature. And oftentimes when we change grips and hand positions on any sort of back exercise, because you have a lot of real estate back here, you'll get emphasis on different portions of the body. That's all we're looking for from this. So in this case, you're going to be hitting some low lats, so closer to the bottom of the rib cage, and we're going to be getting a lot more bicep involvement. So it's a nice catch-all for both in some ways. Something that is noticeable on this is once we start to involve more of the bicep, you do feel oftentimes that you can move a lot more weight. For some people, that's true, at least the majority I found, but like some people that might not be true. So just something to keep in mind. Now, in this case, we're going to be using the straight bar, but in some gyms, like my own, but you can also use something like this handle. It'll be a lot closer in some cases, but it'll turn the hands over in a little bit more of a 45-degree angle rather than turning the hand fully over. But you do have a little more flexibility in terms of like how wide your hands will be with this. So that's what we're going to cover today. Now, when we're setting this up, we do want to go through the same checklist that we do with the lat pull down, which is when we sit down, we want to end up in a position that this pad holds us down comfortably, but not squished. So you're going to set this to a height where the knee can essentially just kind of sit at 90. And then we're going to grab this bar roughly shoulder width. But if you find that there's a position here where you feel best, now if we go a little bit closer, we'll probably feel a little bit stronger, but for some people that might cause some wrist discomfort with a straight bar. So going a little bit wider might help. And then from there, once we found our grip position, we want to sit down, letting the weight help us get into position here. So, as far as setting this up, first thing we're going to do is let the bar pull the shoulders up towards the ears, getting a nice stretch. Then we're going to drive our elbows down, pulling the bar towards our collarbone. And then we're going to control it on the way out, getting a nice stretch. And we're going to stay fairly upright while we do this. Now, the most common mistake that you'll see on this is this urge to really rock back and get away from the bar using momentum to move the weight. We get way less back involvement when we do that. It is much easier, but you don't get as much out of it. So we have to make sure that we stay fairly upright. You can lean back slightly, but you have to stay close to the bar. So there's this position here where I'm still aiming for my collarbone, still staying close to the bar, while still allowing myself to lean back slightly. And that's where I start to feel it quite a bit along my sides. Then from there, we want to make sure that we are getting into this position that allows the shoulders to reach up towards our ears, get a big stretch. And then at the bottom, we're transitioning to this position where the shoulders are down away from the ears rather than up by our ears, which puts a lot of the emphasis into the front of the shoulder and mostly bicep. So that's the second most common thing that I see is most people, when they're doing pull downs in general, do not get the shoulders down away from the ear to the bottoms, which is just making sure that we pull far enough and that we think about initiating the pull down by driving the elbow down rather than pulling our hands towards us. This sounds odd, probably, but if you try it, just think about almost like you're trying to drive your elbow through the floor to start the movement. That should give you way more involvement through the lats and get you more out of pull down movements in general. So hopefully that helps. Bring it.